Hey guys, welcome back. So today we'll be reviewing how to check your answers when you factor. Let's look at this example here. So let's say you have x squared plus 4x minus 12. The answer to this example here, when you factor this, is going to be x minus 2 times x plus 6. Remember, you need two numbers. For this example, you need two numbers. When you multiply, is going to give you negative 12. Those same two numbers, when you add or subtract, needs to give you a positive 4. So the numbers are going to be a 2, a negative 2, and a positive 6. So this is your answer here. Now, let's say you wanted to check your answer to see if you solved it correctly. So we have x minus 2 here, and then x plus 6 here. If I solve this, you're going to get x times x. This is going to be x squared. X times 6, this is going to be a positive 6x. Negative 2 times is a negative 2x. And then negative 2 times a positive 6 is going to be negative 12 as your answer here. Now we're going to combine like terms. So you have x squared, and here you have 6x minus 2x. That's going to give you a positive 4x, and then minus 12. And as you can see, you do get the same answer here that you started with on top here. Let's look at 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So let's say you have this example here. The answer to this example here, if you were to factor this, is going to be x plus 1 times 2x plus 3 if you were to factor. Now, this example here is different than the example that we just looked at. For this example here, the first thing you are going to do if you're going to solve this is you need to multiply your 2 times your 3. And this is going to give us 6. So 2 times 3 is going to equal 6. And your middle number here is 5. So your sum is 5. So now we need two numbers. When you multiply, that's going to give you 6. Those same two numbers, when you add or subtract, is going to give you a 5. And those numbers are going to be 2 and a 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. So these are the two numbers we're looking for, so 2 and 3. So what we did here, when you're looking at this, is you're going to split up this 5x. So I'm going to come down here. So 2x squared plus 2x plus 3x. Remember, I split up my 5x here, which is here, and then plus 3. Now that I split up my 5x, now we're going to continue factoring. So I'm going to do 2x squared plus 2x here in parentheses plus my 3x plus my 3. Now we're going to continue factoring. What can I factor out of here? I can factor a 2x. So if I factor out a 2x, I'll be left with x plus 1. Plus, what can I factor out of here? I can factor a 3 out. If I factor out a 3, I am also left with x plus 1. Now this part here, notice I have x plus 1 here and x plus 1. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and factor that out. So x plus 1 is here. And then I'll be left with 2x plus 3. And then this is going to be 2x plus 3. And this is the answer that we have right here. All right. Now, let's say we were to check our answer. X times 2x, this is going to be 2x squared. X times 3, that's going to be a positive 3x. 1 times 2x, that's going to be 2x. And then 1 times 3, that's going to be a positive 3. Now we're going to combine like terms. So we have 2x squared plus 3x plus 2x. This is going to be 5x and then plus 3. So as you can see, you do get the same answer if you were to check your work from the same question up here. Let's look at x to the 4th minus 4x squared minus 5. In this example here, the answer to this example, if you were to factor this, you're going to get x squared minus 5, and then here you're going to get x squared plus 1. Remember, you need two numbers. When you multiply, is going to give you negative 5. Those same two numbers, when you add or subtract, needs to give you a -4. And the numbers that's going to give that to us is a -5 and a +1. So that's your answer there. Now, if we were to check, so let's say we were checking our work, this is how you would check your answer. X squared minus 5, and then x squared plus 1. So let's go ahead and solve to see. X squared times x squared is going to be x to the 4th. X squared times 1 is a +1x squared. 5 times x squared is -5x squared. And then -5 times 1 is going to be -5. So now we're going to combine like terms. X to the 4th. X squared minus 5x squared is -4x squared. And then -5. And this is your answer here. So if you were to check your answer, this is how you would check your answer. 3x to the 4th plus 8x squared plus 4. So let's say you had this example here. The answer to this example is going to be 3x squared plus 2, and then times x squared plus 2. So this is the, now if you wanted to check your work, and I will solve this. Let me just show you how to check your answer. Okay, so this is your answer here. If you were to check this, you have 3x squared times x squared. That's going to be 3x to the 4th power. 3x squared times 2 is a +6x squared. 2 times x squared, this is going to be 2x squared. And then 2 times 2, this is going to be a +4. Now we're going to combine like terms. So we have 3x to the 4th plus 8x squared plus 4. And as you can see, you cannot factor any further. So you get the same answer from here that we started with up here. So if you were to check your answer, this is how you would check your answer. Now let's go ahead and just solve it so you guys can see what I did. First thing we're going to do, we're going to multiply my 3 times my 4. So 3 times 4, this is going to equal 12. And then your sum here is 8. So we need two numbers. When you multiply, that's going to give us 12. Those same two numbers, when you add or subtract, needs to give us 8. Those two numbers are going to be 6 and 2. So if you multiply 6 times 2, that's going to give you 12. And then if you add 6 plus 2, that's going to give you 8. So that's perfect. This is what we're looking for. Now we're going to split up my 8x squared. So we have 3x to the 4th. I'm going to split up my 8x squared. So that's going to be 6x squared plus 2x squared, and then plus 4. Now we're going to continue factoring. And I'm going to rewrite here in group. And then here we have 2x squared plus 4. My first group here, what can I factor? I can factor out a 3x squared. If I factor out a 3x squared, I'll be left with x squared here plus 2. And then here, my second group, what can I factor out of here? I can factor out a 2. If I factor out a 2, I'll also be left with x squared plus 2 in my parentheses here. Next, we are going to factor out x squared plus 2. So if I factor out x squared plus 2, I'm going to be left with 3x squared plus 2. So this is how you solve the problem, and it does take you back to your answer here. When we checked our work, it takes us back to the original here. Let's look at this example here. So the first thing we're going to do before you do anything, we are going to factor out an x, because that is something that all terms do have in common. So I'm going to factor out an x. I'll be left with x squared minus 2x and then minus 15. Now we're going to continue factoring. I need two numbers. When you multiply, is going to give us -15. And those same two numbers, when you add or subtract, needs to give us a -2. And the numbers are going to be a 5 and 3. So if I do -5 plus 3, this is going to give me -2, which is perfect. And if I multiply -5 times 3, this is going to give us a -15 also, which is perfect. So you're going to get x minus 5 and then x plus 3. So this is your answer right here. Now, if you were to check, let's see how it would look like if you are checking and how to check it. Let's see. So this is your answer here. We're going to multiply x times x. This is going to be x squared. X times 3 is going to be positive 3x. Negative 5 times x, negative 5x. And then negative 5 times 3, that's a negative 15. Now we're going to combine like terms. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now, before you do anything, remember we do have an x that was up here. So we're now going to multiply with this x out here. So this is going to be x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. And then x times negative 15 is negative 15x. And as you can see, when you check your answer, it takes you back to the original problem that you started with. Let's look at this example here. The answer to this example here is going to be negative 1 times 2x plus 1 times x minus 2. Now, if you were to check this, and I'll show you right after how to solve it, but if you were to check this, this is how you would check your answer. Multiply 2x times x. This is going to be 2x squared. 2x times negative 2, that's going to be negative 4x. 1 times x is going to be 1x. And then 1 times negative 2, this is going to be negative 2. So now we are going to combine like terms inside the parentheses. So we have negative 1 and then 2x squared here. Negative 4x plus 1x, this is going to be negative 3x, and then minus 2. We do have our negative outside the parentheses, so now we're going to distribute. So negative 1 times 2x squared is going to be negative 2x squared. Negative 1 times negative 3x is going to be a positive 3x here. And then negative 1 times negative 2, this is also going to be a positive 2. So when you check your answer, as you can see, it takes you back to your initial problem here that you started with. Now, let me show you how to solve this, just in case you want to see. The first thing you're going to do, notice you do have a negative leading coefficient, so you do need to factor that out first. So if I factor out my negative 1 first, I'll be left with 2x squared minus 3x and then minus 2. Now we're going to multiply my 2 here and then my negative 2 here, because I need two numbers. When I multiply that, is going to give me negative 4. So if I do 2 times negative 2, this is going to be negative 4. And all I did, I multiplied my 2 times my negative 2. And then I have my sum here, which is negative 3. So my sum here is going to be negative 3. So I need two numbers. When you multiply, is going to give negative 4. Those same two numbers, when you add or subtract, needs to give a negative 3. And those numbers are going to be negative 4 and a positive 1. So let's see. So if I do negative 4 times 1, this is going to give me a negative 4. Perfect. This is what we're looking for. I need a negative 4. And then if I do negative 4 plus 1, this is going to give me negative 3. Perfect. This is what we're looking for as well. So negative 3 and negative 4 is what we were looking for. So now I am going to split up this negative 3 here into a 4 and 1. So I'm going to do negative 1 and then 2x squared minus 4x and then plus 1x and then minus 2. Now we're going to continue factoring. So negative 1, 2x squared minus 4x here, and then plus 1x minus 2. Now we're going to factor here, this group here. So we have negative 1, and then here we have 2x minus 4x. I can factor out a 2x here. I'll be left with x minus 2 inside parentheses, and then plus here. And as you can see, I cannot factor anything out of here, so I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite that. Now, I am going to now factor out my x minus 2 and x minus 2 here in this step. So we have negative 1 from the top, so do not get that confused. And then I have my x minus 2, so x minus 2, I factored that out. And then you'll also have your 2x plus 1, which is here. So you have 2x plus 1, which is here. And this is your answer here, which is the same answer we got here. Let's look at this example here, x squared minus 2x minus 15. So the answer to this example here is going to be x plus 3 and then x minus 5. So this is the answer here. So if you receive this answer and you wanted to check your work, this is what you would do. So first we're going to do x times x. This is going to be x squared. And then x times negative 5 is negative 5x. 3 times x is going to be positive 3x. And then 3 times negative 5 is going to be negative 15. Now we are going to combine like terms. So x squared negative 5x plus 3x is going to be negative 2x and then minus 15. So as you can see, you get the same answer that you started with if you were to check your work. This is how you would check your work here. Let's look at one more, x squared minus 4x minus 5. So if you had this example here, the answer to this example, x plus 1 times x minus 5. So this is the answer. Now, if you receive this answer and you wanted to check your work, this is what you would do. First, we're going to do x times x. This is going to be x squared. X times negative 5, that's going to be negative 5x. 1 times x is a positive 1x. 1 times negative 5 is going to be negative 5 as your answer. Now we're going to combine like terms. Negative 5x plus 1x is going to be negative 4x and then minus 5. So as you can see, you get the same answer that you started with if you were to check your work. All right, so that is all for today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.